The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
We have two great guests on this episode of the EP Podcast. First off, we're bringing back Meet the Neighbors, a chance for us to find a place that's got an incredible story, or maybe a place that you don't realize exists within Evergreen Park. And the first spot that we will feature is along 95th Street, and it's perfect for Mother's Day coming up and prom season and wedding planning. You're going to love it. And then we have a principal from District 124 who brought her own special guest, and they're going to be talking about some incredible initiatives that are district-wide that have to do with diversity and explaining different cultures to the kids, and also how they're supporting kids and families that are on very unique journeys amongst the school population. I'm going to let them explain it. They're better than me. So the next 30 minutes is brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Your child's bright financial future starts with learning good money habits early in life. Help them get ahead with a junior savers account from the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. With a junior savers account, kids earn interest on every dollar they deposit so they can watch their money grow. Show your kids how fun and rewarding saving can be and set them up for success. No minimum deposit. I opened up my kid's junior savers account right after he got all those checks for First Communion. That's another thing that's going on in the area. Maybe time to get a junior savers account. Stop in and see them in an iconic building on the corner of 95th and Pulaski, the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. Joining me down here at the 9-Foot Homemade Oak Bar on the EP Podcast, Sonia Noble has a company that's fairly new to Evergreen Park called Klassy Stems More, and she is our Meet the Neighbors featured guest today. How are you, Sonia?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
I appreciate you stopping by. You brought flowers, which hopefully we'll have some video clips on the social media. Maybe we'll put out an excerpt or maybe the entire interview of this where you can see some of the arrangements. And what you're doing is you're doing floral arrangements for what? Parties, funerals, weddings? What are we doing them for?
Anything you can imagine, from birth of a baby, birthdays, congratulations, weddings, sympathy, all occasions. Whatever you're celebrating, we got flowers for you.
What do you get the most? Like right now, first of all, how long have you been doing it for? That's a good question.
I've been doing this for a little bit over 15 years.
15 years, but Klassy Stems More hasn't been there for 15 years.
No, Klassy Stems has been in Evergreen for about we're approaching 3 years.
3 years now.
3.5 years, yes.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're meeting you because I didn't even know you were over there in that location.
Absolutely.
That's incredible. So you're on 95th, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I don't notice you because I think you're right next to that big giant awning store that's there. So they have a giant awning. And that'll pretty much drown out everything else that's on the block. But I want to say you're on the same block that is Classmates there as well? Where are you
We're
at?
on the side of Classmates, the dental office, and the awning location there. So we're like right in the middle. We're next to the dental and the awning place. So
so that's in between Central Park and Millard.
Yes.
On 95th, and you're on the south end of the street.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
3611 West 95th Street.
Okay, so somebody comes to you, what are they asking for most? Like, what is the number one person you have walking in the door getting a floral arrangement?
Most are the sympathy.
The sympathy ones.
Yeah, the sympathy.
I never know what to get for those.
You never know.
No, I never know. You know, somebody passes away, especially, and you know, when you can't make it, then I think I spend more money and get a bigger arrangement.
Yes.
Like this thing that you have here, this is large. I would want something about, well, probably 3 times bigger than this because I couldn't make it. Like if it's somebody who expected me to travel for the funeral and I couldn't travel for the funeral, I try to make up for it with ridiculous amounts of flowers.
Absolutely.
Is that what people do?
That's it. Exactly. That's it. Because they want to be represented, you know. Right. Everybody wants their arrangement to stand out. So we try our best to make sure that we're sending something that'll look really nice, you know, and represent them well.
You've been doing it for a long time, so I would imagine if I call you up and I say, all right, it's a funeral.
Yes.
I have no idea what to send.
Yes.
I have X amount to spend, or, I just want it to be like, I start describing like, well, they're going to have those bigger ones that are up around the casket, and I want one that's about that size. And, what's the standard? Is that something where you sit there and say, okay, well, lilies do sometimes you send this, here are your options, here are your prices, because I would need to be walked through that.
Absolutely. And sometimes we get our customers that do need a walkthrough. So we just kind of get a little bit of information, whether male or female, did they have a, particular color that they were looking for. Sometime with the sympathy arrangements, we do a banner that represents the family. We can't put a banner on there that says from the series or the champion family, or if it's from a company, we can kind of, put that on there as well. We do an arrangement of different types of flowers, that would meet the need of the customer that's calling and represent them well. And we just go a little step further. We'll send actually a picture of the arrangement to the out-of-towner, the customer that placed the order.
Oh, I get a picture of it.
Yes, you will get a picture.
Because sometimes you order the flowers and you
don't know what it
you'll
looks
ask somebody like, were they nice? Like, you have no idea what you said.
Absolutely.
So you're sending me a picture.
I'm sending you a picture directly.
Instantly, you're better than any other flower place I've ever dealt with before.
Absolutely.
I have your card and it will be used in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would imagine the most difficult, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I'm curious, the most difficult is the wedding flowers, because the bride has a lot of ideas, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's her big day.
Right.
But I remember when I got married decades ago,
yes,
that I just got out of the way of stuff like that because it had to be specific. There were certain colors, there were things that she wanted, and it had, and I just imagined that was a big back and forth with the florist and trying to figure out what, the florist probably has to figure out exactly what the bride wants. Is that one of the more difficult things to do?
It is. However, that is my passion. I love weddings. So sometimes,
well, they're more fun than funerals.
Well, they are, but it's still flowers, and you want to make them beautiful. Yeah. So for the weddings, I work closely with the bride and the moms. Sometimes I get the moms that's so excited about the wedding, and the bride is just like, I'm so over it. So whatever she wants to go with, I'm fine with that. But once we get the color palettes, the look that you're going for, we can kind of cater to that specifically,
I can imagine 15 years of doing this, you've gotten very good at handling different ideas in something like that. Like you have mom saying we should do this. You have daughter saying we should do this.
Yes.
You know that it's volatile, and and you're looking for like, how do I come up with a compromise for these two that can't seem to compromise, because you're just trying to make sure that everybody's happy in the end.
Absolutely. We try to be cohesive for everyone. We get a little bit of what the mother is looking for, mostly what the bride is looking for, but we work with all parties involved, the moms, the bride, and sometimes very, very, I can count on one hand. Sometimes I get a groom.
That's weird.
That wants the flowers a particular way.
Listen, guys, you don't need to be involved in this. Like, you don't. You don't need to be involved in it at all. Very much like, now I have an 18-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Okay. And one day she'll probably want to get married. And she will be the most involved of all the weddings because I'm the father of the bride.
Yes.
The two boys, when that happens someday, my job is to pay for the bar and make sure the rehearsal dinner goes okay.
Absolutely.
And get out the damn way.
Absolutely.
Like that's where you want to be.
Absolutely.
As a groom as well. You want to get out the way. Guys, stay out of that.
Absolutely. You know what? But I work to make everyone happy in the process. You
must make a face though. You must be like, why are you here?
Sometimes I get that, but for most of the times it's the mom and the bride, so which it works really well. I love doing the wedding. So there's so much fun. It's such a build up. And then on the day of, you see this big, beautiful arrangement done and the different bouquets, and see what the bride wants comes to fruition. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Prom season is upon us.
Yes, it is.
Because the 18-year-old I just mentioned, going to her prom.
Yes. So we do the corsages. Actually, I brought one.
This is perfect. Go ahead and grab it, because I'll tell you this story. Listen as you're getting up, and I'll tell you this story. So I looked at her Saturday, I think.
Okay.
Maybe Friday, and I said, he's getting you a corsage, right? And she looked at me like I had three heads and said, why? And I was like, it's your prom.
Absolutely.
And you have to get him a boutonniere.
Absolutely.
And she looked at me like I was nuts. And I said, okay, here's the thing. I understand that you're laid back and they don't do these dances as much as they used to when we were kids. When we were kids, I had to get a corsage for everything. The freshman dance, the sophomore dance, the junior dance, the one when the girl asked you, the one where I asked her, like every single thing.
Absolutely.
I was so adept at getting these by the time I got to prom, it was second nature. These kids don't do that as much anymore.
They don't.
And like this, I hear this kid's getting a suit. And I'm like, what? Tux. And she's like, oh, no, they don't need a tux for this. I'm like, they don't need, I am completely thrown by it. So I had to lay down the law. I was like, you will take pictures at my home because your grandmother and your aunt want to see the dress and they want pictures of it.
Absolutely.
All right. And you will get a boutonniere.
Absolutely.
And he will get you flowers. And if he's not getting you flowers, you have to tell Dad because I will buy the flowers and then I will pull the young man off to the side and I'll be like, because you were lazy and cheap, I bought this for you. Now put it on my daughter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now the good news is, before you dive into this, turns out he was getting her one.
Oh, good.
She was just being aloof. She's got everything all set now.
Okay.
But take me through a corsage and what you do for the girls and the guys with the corsage and the boutonnieres.
Okay. So we do a variety of corsages. I don't know if you can see what's on my hand.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So
hold it up a little bit above the microphone if we get it on the view of the camera or something like
up
that.
here?
There you're perfect.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
So we have, this is a corsage, a wrist corsage. And it just depends on what the young lady is wearing or what the guys are wearing. And we cater it, we design it to their specifications. We do embezzlement on it, give it the bling.
How much bling do they put in a corsage these days? Is it different from where it was 30 years ago?
It varies. Yes, they have changed quite a bit.
Really?
But the bling, it varies. It depends on the young lady. If she's outgoing and she has that burst personality, then yes, we bling it up if that's her,
I'm surprised that they don't have an app that connects by Bluetooth to your corsage and has like lighting to it. I'm surprised they don't have that yet.
Keep waiting for it. You never know. They may come up with that.
I just gave Klassy Stems More
Absolutely.
the next big thing right
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. Yes. We do the bling on it, and then we do minimal bling for the guys on the boutonniere because we like for them to kind of, look coordinated,
right, but
to complement each other.
It's not their day. It's just like a wedding. It's not really their day. The girl's supposed to bling. That's why her corsage is bigger than the boutonniere.
Absolutely. So, but we do give them some play, but it's small and it's classy. It's classy with a K.
Awesome.
We keep it classy. So definitely we give them the boutonniere for the guys and the corsage for the ladies. So
you'll do a matching set if they want to do it that way.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
And then you have Mother's Day coming up, which I
favorites.
would imagine is big for you. I know with my mom, every year I sit there and I think to myself, oh, maybe I should get her a gift for Mother's Day. And then I always just fall back on flowers. I just do. It's the easiest thing. Yeah.
Flowers is a go-to.
And moms love flowers.
Every time they love the flowers.
Yes. Okay.
The bigger the better, the pink, red, and purples are some of the favorites for Mother's Day. That's the color palettes. But we do quite a few. We do the yellows, the whites, just whatever you're looking for. If you pre-order it, if you're looking for something specific, know.
I think that's funny, though, with the pre-order. Have you ever walked into a Jewel or a Mariano's on Mother's Day and seen the amount of men last minute getting a card and flowers? And I've been there. Many a time. We're terrible. I really, seriously, all sons, we're just the worst, okay? We are always like, it's Mother's Day? That's happening again this year? Like, we're in shock over it.
Absolutely.
So how close to Mother's Day can a procrastinator, or let's just use the word idiot like myself, call you and still get something?
You can call the day before. We will take the day before, but not on the day of.
Okay.
Because on the day of is just kind of, we're trying to keep our obligations that we've already made.
Day before is incredible as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if we can get the day before, then we can get you in, because on the day of, we're just doing the walk-ins and the pre-orders that we have.
Do you do scolding on the day before? Like, are you like, you really waited till the day before for your mother? Do you give them a hard time? I would.
No.
I expect a hard time.
No, we don't give them a hard time. We give a hard time for the anniversaries. The wedding anniversaries, We give those a hard time.
I've been there for that. I've been there for the Valentine's Day, but always Mother's Day. Always, Mother's Day, I'm always like, they're doing it again this year. I got to hurry up and get that done.
Absolutely.
For certain.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, before we wrap this up, I want to make sure that you give everybody how they can get these arrangements, how they can reach out to you, how they can plan for either an event or if they just want a one-time thing. I know you have a website, classystem.com, and Klassy is spelled with a K.
With a K.
You're again at 3611 West 95th Street here in Evergreen Park.
Yes.
And the phone number is 773-405-3550.
Yes.
Easiest way to get what you want, is it by phone, by internet? Should I stop in? I feel like when I stop in, I can get a little bit more descriptive with you. What do you prefer?
You know, if you stop in, that's better. I get a chance to meet you. However, you can go to my website and place an order. Or if you are at wit's ends and you just don't know what to do, just give me a call.
All right.
At the 773-405-3550. Or place your order online, and then you can follow up with the phone call. And if it's some specifications that you want with the arrangements, feel free to, again, give me a call.
Sounds great. You know what? I'm glad that I talked to you. And I am embarrassed by the fact that I thought that you were like brand new. And you've been up there for 3 years.
3 years,
and I think that's what we've been trying to do on the EP podcast lately is the idea of, focusing on the small businesses that you are passing right by, folks, and don't even realize, some of you, that it's right there. And it sounds to me like 15 years of experience, 3 years over at that location.
Oh, yes.
You seem to know the answer to everything.
Oh, thank you.
And definitely people should be checking it out. Klassy Stems and More. Sonia, thank you so much for coming on the EP podcast.
Thank you, Chris, so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by SidSauce.net. The only place I get my hot sauce from is Sid Sauce, and there's always a new flavor to try. I don't care what you're making, there is a Sid Sauce for it. I just put it on a spoon and eat it from time to time. I like hot things. The pepper's grown in Evergreen Park. It's delivered to your door here locally for free. See everything they have at SidSauce.net. The Evergreen Park Police Department is offering a one-time amnesty program for unpaid parking, red light, and local ordinance citations. The program allows a one-time 50% reduction of the balance owed on overdue citations if you pay in full by June 15th of this year. Now, the amnesty period expires on June 15th. There's no extensions. And if you've already made a payment, there are no refunds. Take advantage of this. Give them a call, 708-613-2062. Make your payment between 8:30 in the morning and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday at that number. If you have any questions, call the EPPD, 708-422-2142. Little Company of Mary, OSF, is having their Mother's Day Breast Cancer Walk on Sunday, May 12th. $40 adult registration, 18 and younger, the kiddies, $20. You get a t-shirt and you're supporting a wonderful cause. Plus, hopefully you get a really good day to walk around just outside of Evergreen Park in Ridge Park. If you have any questions, want more info, email info@bbcwalk.org or give them a call at 708-229-5022. Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, I have the principal of Northeast, which is, I think this is the first time we've ever had her on. Carrie Berry, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So how long have you been the principal over there?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Are you exhausted yet?
Yeah, especially now in April. Certainly am. I think we have like 6 more Mondays to wake up.
4 years. You started during a rough time.
I really did.
I'm doing the math in my head.
My first year was a pandemic.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, now it must seem easy.
I know. I'm here to live to tell the story. That's what I always say.
I always tell people like I just was speaking with somebody else recently who was like, oh, I started my business back in 2020. And I was like, that must have been challenging. And I understand it too, because we had just started getting advertisers. And then all of a sudden, everything closed, and nobody wants to advertise when they're closed. So we've all made it through. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you got that's going on over there? You got big things from what I understand.
Yes. So wanted to take the time to talk a little bit about Northeast School and how we truly embrace diversity. We all know that diversity is, it involves creating an inclusive environment and where all students, regardless of their backgrounds, that they feel valued, respected, and supported. So we do this in a couple of ways. We go through and we teach culturally responsive teaching that's embedded within our curriculum. We celebrate diversity. Any opportunity we can get. We're not just like kind of this one and done and we don't ever, we say the buzzword and we don't ever come back to it. Some things that we have done and celebrated Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Native American Heritage Month, Black History Month, Arab American History Month, as well as Respect University Week, which was a new one for us.
What is that?
It's we concentrate on the Special Olympics, and we're having Special Olympics for the very first time here in District 124.
That's awesome. I have a friend of mine that is a co-host on Socks in the Basement. Okay. He's my other guy that's on there, and his son is in Special Olympics and competes in that. And I know how important it is to him that he has an opportunity, because I have my son right now. He used to be a hockey player, and now he's a water polo player. Shout out to Brother Rice JV, won the Catholic League Championship this past weekend, and he was on that team. All right, and he's very excited about it. And I mean, he's an athlete. He's more athletic than me. I'm a terrible athlete. I was never good at anything. I don't know where this kid came from. He's super athletic. And his sister was pretty good at sports when she was playing as well. And I know when I talk about their accomplishments, he loves sitting around and jumping in with what's going on at Special Olympics. And I think to myself, if it weren't for that, then that kid doesn't have any activity, isn't able to do anything. Dad doesn't get to throw in his own brags, which I think we all need as a dad. Okay.
Right.
So I think it's a great program. So you guys are bringing that to Northeast?
We're bringing it to District 124.
The whole district?
The whole district.
Awesome.
And so what we're doing is we invited our families and students to join. So those with disabilities and those without. So they're kind of, complementing one another, helping one another, teaching kindness, inclusion. So it's going to be an awesome event.
I feel like the kids these days, I mean, I know that there's always work to be done, but it is such a much more understanding life in school than it was when I was going to school, or when you guys were going to school, right? I mean...
Oh, for sure.
Seriously. First of all, I didn't even know what was wrong to say when I was that age. Okay, I can think of embarrassing moments where I thought I was being funny, or I thought that I could talk on a level with somebody, and then I had to be explained to later, it ain't that way. And I think it is a good thing that all this stuff is kind of taught, because look, living coast to coast, doing radio, meeting different people from different backgrounds throughout my entire life, I think I have a very good understanding now that we're all just human beings on this big giant rock hurtling through space. And we all have our own stories where we come from. But it is something that was missing when you're younger. And so I think it's kind of cool that you get into this with the kids.
I know. And our event, so just so you know, our event is May 28th. It's at Central Middle School in the gymnasium from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
That's the Special Olympics event?
That's the Special Olympics.
I jumped over there to get to your other point there.
Yes,
okay.
You did.
All right.
Did.
Well, I was excited because I mean, you gave me a lot there when we started this thing off. So you have all the different months, you show everybody things. I'm sure that's kind of fun. And do you keep it fun? Is it mostly a fun thing? Or
assemblies? Yeah. Words of the week, that we celebrate, and we try to embed, different challenges for the kids, different, we also do little scavenger hunts that concentrate around all of the different diversity events that we have.
How important is it to to make sure everybody knows, like, hey, it's okay to have an understanding of everything, but like, it's also fun that everybody has these differences too. Because I think that sometimes, to me, I always feel like it's important that everybody does celebrate the differences they have instead of constantly being like, well, I don't see the differences. Because if you never see the differences, you can't appreciate the good things that everybody's bringing into the melting pot, right?
Right, exactly. And what they say is, like, if you say, like, you don't see color, like, that's a negative annotation too.
Isn't
like
that crazy?
Yeah, it is. Well, we do see
Right.
color. We see differences, and we should appreciate them and embrace them.
When people say that to me, I want to reach out and smack them.
I know. I was like, what are we colorblind
Really?
now?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I feel like, it just helps you it helps build character. It helps you become well-rounded. It helps you to become, genuinely a good person when you're able to respect other people's differences, because people are not the same, and that's okay.
And it opens up the friend pool for these kids too.
It does.
You have
It
far
does.
more people that you're around, and you're exposed to far more things, and that's a good thing. Because
Yeah.
you know what? The world is not what it looks like inside of your tiny little world that you're in your neighborhood or whatever. The world is much bigger and much different. And at some point, all these kids will go out into that world. So it's important that they get that.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
All right.
Correct.
We're on the same page with that.
Yes, we are.
All right.
We
and then
are.
you have something else really cool that I want to make sure we get to.
In addition to, like, all those other little celebrations and things that we're highlighting, we have our very first annual Neurodiversity Week that we are celebrating actually this week. And it's a worldwide initiative that challenges stereotypes and misconceptions about neurological differences. It aims to transform how neurodivergent individuals are perceived and supported by schools, universities, organizations, the workforce, and the world around us. And we want to recognize the great talents of neurodiverse individuals. At school at Northeast, we say, like, everyone's brains are wired differently. So everyone has a different way of thinking, of perceiving, of behaving, and it all starts with our brain.
And when you say that word, it just, because I know it's a big word,
Yeah,
right? It's a big word. But you're talking about people that, like, let's say, has ADHD, or somebody that has something that they think in a different way, and they then have to go out into a society that sometimes isn't looking at them in the way they probably should be looking at them. They might be like, oh, that person's just nuts. Correct. Or that person just is antisocial. Or that person, like, I just, I can't communicate with them. You're trying to bridge that.
A lot of judgments are happening. Like, a lot of assumptions, and people judge, based on these neurodiverse, brains. So, and we want to empower our students that it's okay that you think differently. A lot of it is educating themselves too. All these students that have ADHD or have anxiety, have depression, we see mental illness and, mental health concerns on the rise, especially post-COVID in our students. So we want them to become experts, in their diverse minds. And then that way that can help them better communicate and have better relationships in life.
That's awesome. Introduce me to your sister-in-law here. You brought a guest, and I want to make sure that we get her in. Yeah.
And it hits home. I have my sister-in-law, Maggie Maloney, here with me, and she is taking a step in the brave direction and kind of sharing her story about her neurodiverse daughter.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Chris.
I found this to be so interesting as Carrie was talking, and we were talking before we turned on the microphones, that, like, I was trying to explain, like, put this into perspective for somebody. I was once doing radio out in Southern California, and I had this guy who was working for me, grown man, early 20s, nice guy. And he was coming in every day and doing something for my radio show. And then one day didn't show up for a week. And when he showed up finally, I'm yelling at him. I'm like, I'm giving your job away. Like, I was angry. I didn't have the guy that I needed for the show for like a whole week. And he had ADHD. Something went off with his meds, and he couldn't bring himself to walk out of the bedroom for over a week. And it was something that I had to understand. Like, one is like his boss, but also two is somebody who was his friend, because I thought he had let me down. And it was a learning moment for me, what he was going through. And I also threw in at the end there that now he's a teacher and he's got everything set up, but he was going through a rough time back then. So people struggle with these, and I think it's important for people to understand what they're going through.
Yes. So my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD last summer, and she struggles with impulsivity and anxiety issues. So she's at a tough age. She's 11, and that is, it's a really tough age for her to navigate her emotions.
11-year-olds are already impulsive.
Exactly.
That sounds like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are trying to navigate that road. It's been a road. There's therapy. There's seeing therapists, doctors, psychs. She's been on different meds, and trying to regulate that. What dosage, and it's been challenging.
Is the hardest challenge trying to find a way to make sure that she feels as normal as possible, because she must notice that like sometimes it's a little off, right?
Absolutely. And that's kind of why I wanted to piggyback off of their neurodiversity week, because I felt the time is now. My daughter is really, she wants her story out there. She's comfortable with that. I think because she is feeling so misunderstood and judged and insecure, because she knows she's quote unquote different.
And it's hard enough at that age.
Right. Exactly.
Right? 11 years old. Gosh.
Right.
I was lost, and you don't get along with people, and you say the wrong thing, and all of a sudden like 5 people don't want to talk to you anymore. I mean, it can be, it's difficult for anybody at that age.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's quite a journey that you're going through right there. And I'm sure that's a very involved, very difficult thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want my daughter to know she's not alone, but I also want other parents and these children to know that people are suffering with you, and this journey, we can prevail, and we can get them the help they need. And just wanting, I think my biggest thing is to encourage compassion and empathy, and start the conversations so that people are more open to talking about it. And then other people are more comfortable with, their kids being around kids that might act out at times, and knowing that they're coming from a good place, but their emotions get the best of them, and it can take over. And so in our journey, it led me to, kind of just pour out my heart, and that led me to write a poem. So I am in the works with getting, that published, and hopefully that can be, a source of comfort for parents out there that are going through this.
Well, first off, I am not a writer, as you noticed by the microphones. I thought about being one when I was younger, but I am not a writer. So the fact that you have written something and you're trying to get it published, first of all, bravo to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any chance that I can get a sample of it? Is it possible? Just, not the whole thing. You don't need to read the whole thing. Just kind of like...
Just a little snippet.
Yes,
little snippet.
Yes,
just say something for everybody to kind of hear, if I'm not putting you on the spot too much.
No, I am comfortable. There was a few stanzas I was hoping to share, so I will read those now. My head feels like a tornado, she says, her brain spinning every minute. One thought to another, imagine always living in it. An outward injury or illness, the symptoms are easy to see. Fevers, bruises, broken bones, everyone extends sympathy. A troubled mind garners judgment, no pity or get well cards. Labeled crazy, though they too are hurting. You just cannot see their scars.
That's awesome. And it touches on something that I've tried to explain many different times, many different ways, either to my children or something. When you're dealing with somebody that has something going on in their head, you can't see it, right? You can't see it. Like I can see somebody in a sling, and you can't see it. And people don't treat it the same way. And, if it was somebody who was like, well, I have to work at this, or I have to get this muscle stronger, or I have to rehabilitate from something else, you see it, you understand it, you get why they can't keep up in a race. But people aren't getting that you can't keep up in this race because they're working on something going on in their head. You hit that one perfectly. That's awesome. Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. How do we get the whole poem?
Well, that's the great question. I'm working on that. I'm working on
journey.
Yes.
Make sure we know when you
Yes.
put it up.
Absolutely.
I think
I will.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And Carrie, I kind of figured you're coming in and you're just going to talk about your school, but this sounds like this whole thing is district wide. Right?
It is. It is district wide. And every school puts its own little spin on it.
Yeah.
But we, too, like what Maggie's going through, like I help and coach and console many parents, every single day that have children that are neurodiverse. And so part of me speaking about this is I just want them to know that we support them, that we're here for them, that we're really trying to educate everyone around us to embrace and respect and be kind and use empathy, to just make these students and these children and parents feel valued.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you both coming in and sharing this with me. I think it's really cool, and it's neat to hear about a program like this and everything that's going on within District 124, and especially over at your school in Northeast. And don't be strangers. Come back.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah,
thanks for having us.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.